Well, there we go. First stream. Let's give it a go, shall we? So we're just trading on the Forex markets, as the title says. Got a full list, 15-minute time frame. So far we had a good move this morning on the euro. Nice little shorts, got a couple of them. So going well, but we're now just at the point where we're meeting a bounce, potentially. 132 mark on the euro CAD is actually quite a big pivot point of recent times anyway, so we're just keeping an eye on that as to whether it's going to continue up or whether it's just a little test to then break through. Got a long prevailing trend. Coming down, but we're just trying to break it back up. You can see where it's broke the range, so it's retesting. Is it going to go long or is it going to break through? If it goes long, potentially going to come back up to this point. And then we've got some confluence. I think that's the correct terminology. Probably wrong. Very new to all this. We'll just keep our eyes on that and see what happens. Okay, let's have a look through the rest of the market, see what we got. So, Euro Swiss, again, it's now just hitting into that sort of area where I've marked out for, if you like, a ranging area. We're at the bottom of it again. You can see we've tested, broken, and come back up and hit that midpoint, which again is a very solid ranging area, especially overnight between the sessions. Not really much movement again, flat, which is expected because it's lower volume. So we'll see what the move does today. Not really sure what I'm expecting from this one, to be honest. And of course, Euro JPY. We've come up, we broke the trend, attempted at the retest. We've hit this high point of pivot, and we broke to the downside. Sadly, we missed that one this morning, but it's all good. Not really sure what's going on with this one on the British pound at the minute. It's extremely weak. We had a point of support, and then this morning we've just smashed through that with the news that came out. So it's quite messy, to be honest, on the British. Pound CAD, again, it's at that point. The news comes out. Long wicked, but it hit that point of support along here. Bounce back up to continue, but now again it's taking a breather around on this pivot point, which is the top of that range. So we'll see what comes from that as well. And again, the chef, the old Swedish franc, similar to the euro, it's had a bit of a bounce breather. So again, we're unsure, so we're just waiting on that one for any sort of movement. Let's drag this range box across. Yeah, so the news came out, plummeted, it's recovered, and it's bouncing on the bottom of where that support area is. Not sure how long I'll stream for today. This is more of just a test run, so once I've finished I'll probably just go through and see what the sound quality is and everything's alike. Let's just check on the 1 hour time frame for this one, because we are pushing to new highs on USD. If we go to the daily, we can see that we're coming back up to a potential area of pivots or breakthroughs. We're on a big swing. If I just can see that from where we are now on this price point, we quite often get a bit of a range from the top of these areas, which is the bottom of these areas. So we've broken through that and we're now at the top of what the range would be. I'll box that in. Let's go from about here historically to about there. You can see the support line and the resistance line. It's quite a strong area. A lot of noise in the middle of it, but then we are looking at the daily chart. So as to what we feel like it might do, we could potentially keep pushing up to the 1358. And around that point, we're either expecting it to break through, which is highly unlikely. The date on that, March 20, and this one's like 2015, is it? 2016. So yeah, we're almost on full cycle. If you look at the similarities of this pushing up, the similarities of that, pushed up, it's broken through, gets to the top, and has a breather. So we'll see what happens from that. We're expecting movement to the upside. So we'll just mark that with an arrow. And we'll mark the top of it. And we'll see what comes from it. Swiss franc with the USD. Again, bit of an uptrend, but it's broke into a range. So it's effectively, I suppose you could call it like cycle one, where it's contracting. And it might break out for a sort of a mini swing. Whether it comes down and up, we're not too sure just yet. This one this morning I was supposed to react to because I saw the long, I don't know the names of the candles by the way. Saw the long wick on the top of this one as it broke up to where my trend line was, and I knew that it was kind of at a resistance point going by the previous candle highs. So I was expecting it to come down, but I didn't commit to the short just through lack of indicator confirmation. I didn't want to just take that risk just for the sake of it. And given we're in a range, it's always more difficult in a range because there's no guarantee that it's going to plummet down. It could just step down slowly and then correct. So it wasn't worth the risk. USD and JPY. Not sure what my lines are doing on this one, to be fair. So we've just broken out of a range down here that we've been in for quite a while, and we've hit top, two tops. But then we had a resistance line just ever so slightly on the way down, and then on the way up. It's now sort of broken. You can kind of see how it's retested that now. If you look where I've drawn my lines, you can see it's retesting, simmered along it, bounced overnight, come back down, retested and pushed up. As to where it's going to go, I mean, it could come all the way up to here. There's nothing to say that it can't make that high. But we're just going to have to see what comes out, because at the minute the USD is quite volatile. I'm not sure what the news is going to come from it. Let's have a look what we got today. So 11 o'clock, we've got some more of the Great British Pounds, some USDs, medium. I mean, it's quite low in terms of the effect. But tonight, 7 o'clock, USD FOMC. Jesus, get your acronyms. So we'll see what happens with the USD. I won't be trading at that time of night. So I'll have to just try and catch that tomorrow morning, depending on the movement. I might keep my eyes on it just to see the lives, but for now, I might steer clear. Aussie dollar USD. Again, I was just sort of marking out where a potential range could be. If I jump to the 4 hour, we can see a bit more information. So we're in a long down channel. We've had a breakout and then it's sort of set another trend, and it's kind of bounced off of that. I'll just readjust my trend line to be a bit more accurate to it. You can see how we've just skimmed the top and then created the bottom there, and it's had an immediate bounce off of it, as well as a breakout from that sort of smaller downtrend within the channel. And that's why I've marked that out as a bounce point, and it's bounced, and now it's just about broken below. But given the amount of possibilities from here to be a bounce, or from here to be a resistant, that's quite small for you, isn't it? Let me just, I'll enlarge that so you can see it better on the screen. So yeah, it's going to fall down, it could bounce from here, it could come up from there as resistance. It's too much sort of confluence and uncertainty. Plus where I've got this blue line here, it's a solid price of interest as well for a pivot point. So until it makes its move, I'm just going to watch it, see how it goes. All CAD, prevailing downtrend. Sharp downtrend, and it's just been sort of simmering along. Did break it, but instantly plummeted to follow. probably from this point. Yeah, pretty much just down to there as a downtrend. As a channel, I'm going to change that to a white line. But still, kind of messy. I think I'm just going to neaten that up for a bit. We know that's an up. We'll leave that down. We'll leave that as a support resistance. I might get rid of that box for now. Whacking a high pivot point line, which is pretty much where we're at now. So that's why there's that area of concern to be hesitant. In fact, they all do kind of line up nicely, don't they? Yeah. So, let's bring that blue line back, shall we? So you can kind of see actually what I'm talking about in terms of the contraction. So we've had a big swing, we've come down, we've got a contraction in the market, and then as it's expanding, the swings are getting bigger and bigger. Didn't necessarily create a trend because we're kind of still fighting the down, but it's just started to contract again where it's getting a little bit noisier and not really doing anything. So I'm expecting it to break out possibly soon. This is all going on technical analysis as well. This isn't considering anything to do with the news or anything that's coming out about the actual currency itself. So for now on that, I'm just going to say I'm sitting and waiting for it. We're in the middle of the park. We're at a pivot point. That downtrend, it could swing either way. Let's move on. Okay. Aussie Swiss. Again, that was a big pivot point. Broke through, retested, and still retesting. It's pushing down. We are looking at dailies. So if we go back down to the 15-minute, you can see that we're actually at that bounce point. And again, Swiss franc has got that bounce, the same as it has on the euro, that bounce, and also the British pound has got that bounce. So at the minute, we are leaving the Swiss alone until things actually make a move. Australian JPY, it's in a bit of an uptrend. It's actually just broken the bottom of that, but we've had it almost like a false breakout. Don't get me wrong, there's still money to be made in that, but you always expect the correction because the uptrend is so strong. Going to the daily, you can see that we're forming into a tighter area of confluence as we're getting to these top points. So potentially a breakout to the top. We'll hit around here and then we'll sink back down again. Last few pairs. Sitting on the daily. CAD Swiss franc. You can see here, big pivot point, which is where we're at currently. It's bounced along this line, held along this line, held along this line, held along this line. It has broke it, retested. This is obviously 2 years ago, but it held and ranged on that point. As soon as it broke back in, it sat in this range, and it sat in this range. So I feel like we are at the bottom of the range, potentially about to bounce up. So I might put a little arrow up on that, just say we're looking for longs. Let's check that on the 15 minutes that the arrow's in a decent enough place. Yeah. With that confirmation that we're potentially looking for longs, let's just double check against the other shift pairs. Bit difficult to say with that one, such a strong downtrend. Is in an uptrend, coming to the bottom of this range, so potentially we'll mirror. Just in a downtrend, but then, you know, the pound's pretty weak at the minute. Canadian JPY. Trying to be in a bit of an uptrend, but more as a bottom support rather than plummeting up. If you look, the tops are quite level. Hence why we've got this prevailing trend in. If I go to the daily, You can see that we was at the top, and we sort of retested around that top point, bounced, we've come back up, we've just broke it. But again, looking historically, when it just broke it, it was a retest to come back down. So it could be a retest to go back up. I feel like it would only ever come to about this high. But we'll see, because we're coming to the point where it needs to react. Last pair, Swiss franc JPY. Don't trade it in New Zealand, don't like the exotics too much. Well, I say it's exotics, but it is, but you know, just don't particularly like it. So yeah, there we go. Just sitting and waiting, and if you look at then, this is the obviously Swiss franc JPY, and it's got, if you like, a bounce in the same way that this has got a bounce. Obviously, because we've got, I'm just going to call it Schiff. That's what I call it. As you can see, we've got the Schiff as the second half of the pair, which is why it's bouncing up, and then this is the leading one of the pair. It's bounced down. Same sort of moves, to be fair, and it probably would follow. Yep. So this is the Swiss franc index itself. You can see that we've hit the point. Big gap there, but we've had that drop and rise, and then drop and rise, and it's finding support just here, which is in the point historically. If you look, support, 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 ranged, and then support again. If you look along the dotted line, you can see that that's where it is. And it bounced with a long wick. So although the indicators weren't confirming that as early as that, you can see that that's the pattern for it. It's hit that support, it's long wicked, and it's bounced back up. Long wicked, bounce back up. We'll ignore that because that was a gap probably for a weekend turn. Let's have a look. Date on that's the 15th. Oh no, maybe not, it's just a weird gap. But still, that's because it's the currency index, we don't trade that, just checking on it. So there we go. In terms of entries, we can do price action entries. I tend to follow indicator entries, even though I can sometimes foresee the price action in the sense of support and resistance. Like here, we've got resistance, 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 broke, turns to support, attempts to break, but it's almost like a false breakout because it hits the bottom of that range area, bounces back up, and then we sit on a range again. We've come down, and now let me draw a box in. Could potentially go to there, to be fair. So support resistance range, previous support resistance range. So we broke it, bounced, 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 broke it, tested, and bounced. So you can see it's doing the same sort of thing. Effectively, it's ranging, trying to break, finding out what it wants to do. And then again, we've got a ranging overnight here. So this was last night. No volume in the market, so it doesn't really do anything. Market wakes up, comes down for a retest to make its decision on what it's going to do. So let's okay, cool. Just want to wait and see potentially if we're going to get any entries or not. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust my windows on the other pane. The other pane on the other screen. Because I want to just be able to see things and do things at the same time. Okay. So I'm just going to bring that up and put that onto my other screen for my ordering. Okay. Hopefully that will stay like that. Right, so in terms of the strategy, what's the strategy? I kind of mumbled about it, but then I kind of digressed and stopped talking about it. So basically, price action analysis. first and foremost, just to see what the market's doing, what it's been doing historically, where we're at, as I kind of just explained. In terms of entry confirmations, first entry confirmation is this indicator down here, the trend meter. If you get, just bring that up for you so that's easy to see. If you get a solid dot along the top, that would mean that the 3 dots below it are all the same color, after not being all the same color. Hence why we've got red, and then there's a blue one, there's 2 blue ones just here, and then it turns red because they've all gone back to being red again. So that was this morning. So we've got MACD cross and RSIs effectively, and when they all cross in the same direction, down or up, this dot at the top will confirm that they've all done that. And then the one along the bottom here, that's EMA crossover line. So if it crosses up or crosses down, I think I've got this set to 5 and 10 EMAs. And then when they all confirm, so everything is red or everything is blue, that's a confirmation of momentum change. In fact, I'll leave it like that. So then underneath, it's effectively a volume and sort of volatility and stuff like that. So this is the water explosion. Obviously blue's good, blue's up, red's down in terms of buying and selling pressure. And then I've got two different tones of colours. So the brighter colour is stronger and the darker colour is a weaker signal. So you can see there's still high buy volume in this, but if you look at the chart, you can see that this candle is a very sort of flat, well, red candle, which implies that it's going to be coming back down. But there was still buying pressure in the market, and the buying pressure in the market held, and you can see that the sort of price mirrored that slightly. The reason we've got a little MA on it there, it's just a simple moving average, because we just want to double check where the floor is for volume. So you can see overnight when there's low volume, although we get spikes that break that, you can see that the MA stays pretty flat. We would only take entries if we break the MA volume. So we're above the moving average for the expected volume that comes through. Then the indicator at the bottom, very similar to a QQE, but it's called the faith indicator. So what this does, the way I've color coded it, is different to the way it looks from start, same as the explosion. But basically up means we've got buying pressure and interest in buyers, and then down is obviously sellers. The colors along the background, so we've got dark red, strong sell, blue, which is a strong buy, and then you've got light blue, which is a weak buy, like an interest in buy, to say that it's turning. And you can sort of see here MACD's crossed to the upside, the RSI is breaking up as well, the volume of sell disappears down, and then it turns to light blue to say that there's buying pressure. So it just sort of follows the chart. It's very straightforward, really, quite easy to follow the indicator. Likewise, the light red, pink, salmon, whatever colour you want to call it, I'm going to say light red, is where the selling pressure sort of dies off, which it has done because it's got a little movement to the upside. So the sell pressure died off, so it changes that. We've got some movement going on here on the euro pound. Euro's got a bit of strength back. You can see that we've now got a dot there. We're above that, and we've got a dark blue. What we would need is for this bar that's on it to turn white, because white means that we're going up. Grey, just quickly to finish off. Grey is basically middle of the park, uncertainty, which is expected given that we are ranging at the night time because there's no volume. So it was uncertain, which is, yeah, pretty obvious. You do get greys during the day, like here, you can see. But then that was obviously in the evening, so the time of night there was like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So as a full confirmation, we'll get all blue or all red. We're just going to stick to blue because that's what currently it's showing. So we go all blue, big dot at the top, which means those 3 dots are. We need a EMA line to be crossing to the upside as well. So this trend line, if you want to call it, at the bottom needs to be blue. We need enough volume in the market and to be blue. So enough volume means it's above the MA and to be the right color. And then we need a dark blue on the background and a white bar on the histogram. And then that's a confirmation. You can take opportunities sometimes where, this is a bad example. Let me see if I can find one where I'm going to say it, where they don't quite line up perfectly every time. Let's see if I can just find one quickly. everything seems to be doing all right. Yeah, so something like that you wouldn't take, definitely. So you've got your first confirmation, which is great. So let's just say we'll put on a short on there. You go to the swing high, target's 1.5, and then you've got this one. Hold on, I'm just trying to think so I can make it so that it's clear. So you've got your entry point, close the trigger candle, you'd enter on this price here. Set to 1.5, you can either let it run and just hope for the best, which at this point it would have been a winner eventually by yesterday morning. Very close to losing overnight though, so I've lost my train of thought. What I was trying to say. Yeah, so this is a solid entry. This is not a solid entry because the histograms don't line up. That's not what I was trying to do. Forgive me for absolutely making no sense. Let's find one. Basically, I want the initial confirmation and some volume, and here we go. So then it's overnight, so we wouldn't trade it necessarily. So this was a confirmation, but the histogram didn't match. And then the following candle, the histogram matched, but the background wasn't. And we've had nothing to the contrary that's turned blue. And then by the third one, again, it's now all in line. And it's obviously histogram, background, still got volume, and everything's all red. For me, I wouldn't take it. Because your stop loss ends up being riskier, because you could have entered up here. And then 1.5, you would have lost that trade anyway. You're just too late to the party. Even though it's only been like half an hour, because it's a 15-minute time frame, you're just too late for the party for the move. So if this was during the day, second to that, looking at the analysis, as it were, in terms of price action, you can see that that area is quite high for a pivot and a bounce. So that long wicked throughout the day of uncertainty, broke, great, and it's just worked its way back down all through the evening. It's bounced, it's working its way down, bounced, and then it's come through to the morning. Instead of bouncing, it's broke, but then it's hit the bottom of the range area from the day before and bounced. So for me, if that was during the day, I wouldn't have taken that trade anyway, even if the signals lined up. Right. Here we go. So, faith indicator has turned, looking on this line here, this line here, faith indicator has turned, it's blue, we've got buying pressure, we're at the top of a range. We've got a blue dot, obviously a blue trend line, high enough volume, and everything is correct. So you, in this instance, you can take the trade because the faith is already on your side. You can either enter here as the faith changes, so that would have been a valid entry point because everything changes all at the same time and it all ticks over, or on here, the faith is already on your side, and then you get confirmation. That also is fine. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. Oh. What we doing? That would be a buy. So let's just whack that one in. We'll go below the swing low. 206, that'll do, why not? And go for 1.5. I think that's risking it. Let's bring it back down to pivot points there. So target is going to be 0.87803. And let's enter the buy. Let's enter the buy and see what happens. With any luck, we'll make some money. Yeah. Sorry for the just rambling that makes no sense. Let's tick that over. Okay, so what price did we enter at? 87845, 87475 even. Well, let's just tick that up. That's probably the quickest way. So what we are, we're on a 1 to 1 2. It's good enough, I think, to be honest. Given that it's such a high pivot point, it's going to be, it might not even make it that far, to be honest. I feel like it could just correct. Let's extend this a little bit. Yeah, it could correct when it gets to about there if we're unfortunate. So we're okay. 11 o'clock. Oh, great. That was stupid, wasn't it? We went into Great Britain at 11, half hour before the news comes out. That could go wrong. We got Euro all day. Given that it was bad for them last time, it may just increase the unfortunateness for the British pound. Maybe we'll pump back up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on that one. I'm glad that everything was so clear. I've got no idea what I'm talking about. Oh no, I've got an idea what I'm talking about. I just can't articulate it. So far things are going well. It's going against us. No entries are valid, obviously. That move this morning was all right though. That was a solid entry. 645. Caught that. That was obviously not on stream. So that one what am I doing? Wrong way. So that you set to previous highs, just ranging overnight, so around about there. Bring that down to 1.5. Easy win. 45 minutes, job done. Target probably should have been down here where the long wicks were. We probably could have caught more of that move. Let's have a look, see. So I just set it to, yeah, we probably could have got a 2-3 there. 2 to 1 ratio. Never mind. It's going well. Instant correction as soon as we enter the trade. That's what you always want. Not surprised though, to be fair. I probably should have thought about it. We're at a big point there. I should have waited until we broke through that point, because I'd had my confirmation. But we can enter on confirmations. There's no harm in that. That's what the strategy is there for. So I'm just going to sit here. I'm just going to go through each one. Very close to getting an entry there. But the faith hadn't quite turned. It's now turned. The volume was just about over the top, so it would have counted. Although I'm not sure whether that trend bar was blue at the time of that candle. It's turned blue after the fact on this candle that we're in now, but there's no guarantee it was blue. We're doing 10:45. So what we got? 5. Yeah, okay. Looking for longs on the USD. I'm not so sure about that. I know they're, that says so, but we'll see. We've got 7 o'clock on this. Let's see what that. Oh, that was the wrong click. That's the one I want. 21st of September 2022. That's where we are. Quick decisive action, provide hard press businesses and short term packaging these times. Doesn't really tell you too much. I mean, that could potentially be good for the currency, to be fair. Because it means that the businesses can stay open, which means the British people can still spend, which means there's still money going through the economy. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. We'll see what comes out from it. Economic health businesses react quickly to market conditions. Yeah. Cool. The forecast is -13. Previous was, yeah, -7. So if the actual is greater, I don't know, I feel like it might be good for it actually. So this one that we're in here could potentially not pay off. We might have to react quickly. We might have to bring, if we get a surge and we get up to the bottom of this range point here, or pivot point, where do we want to get to? I'm going to say here. Oh, add an alert. I mean, it's about halfway up, so it's not too bad. We'll still be in profit when we get to that point, obviously, so we might take it. It's also not far off of that trend line. I might have put that just a little bit higher. Let's move that down slightly. Yeah, it's fine. Just to get a little bit of a notification going on for what we're doing in case we're missing it. I mean, to be fair, I think once that news comes out at 11, depending on what happens on the trade, irrespective of what happens on the trade, because we could just lose all our money. I lie. We're obviously not going to lose our money because we've got a stop loss in place. I do feel like it's going to surge. I feel like it's going to go up, potentially get to either here or here. I'm hoping it breaks through this point. If you look here, we've got some long wicks as it's trying to push through it. We have got news that's in half an hour. Oh, I've just realised. Been muted for a while. I muted it. Someone was coming up. I did click the button. Well, never mind. You've been sitting in a lovely bit of silence for a while. I was just talking about hanging on to this. I don't know how much of it you actually heard, so that's always good. I'm just thinking about hanging on to this because it needs to push through here comfortably. Obviously, the next candle is news candle, so we'll see. So we've got 7 minutes on it. We'll see how it plays. It's trying it. It's definitely trying it. Okay, there we go. A little bit of retraction along that point. Definitely looks like the market's hanging around for it. Just not sure how sporadic it's going to go, or how keen to take the stop loss. You could take it up to here, just to be safe. But then if you get a little wick down and then shoots off, because the euro loves doing that. It's hard to know, really. Let's give that a refresh. We get the little request actual button. I mean, that's not good. The fact that people are borrowing. Oh, okay. Definitely doesn't want it, does it? Three minutes until it all spazzes. Come on, let's go. Surge up. Depending on, yeah, like I say, depending on how it reacts, depending on what happens. I mean, I'm apprehensive that it's potentially going to flick. Got 2 minutes now. That's it. The charts are starting to flicker. Oh, well, we're in it now. Or do we chicken out? Do we close and run? Let's say stop loss there. 1.5 is, I mean, that seems more reasonable. To be fair, it seems more achievable. We'll leave it as it is for now. Let's go. 1 minute. 1 minute. Are we going to cry? Oh, I don't know. Oh, we're too early. Let's watch the charts. See what happens. It's going to tick over and go. It's not. It's going to tick over and go straight up. Smash the target. That's what it's going to do. Here we go. Let's request it. I mean, I don't even know. It shouldn't have greens. That's good. So that means this trade's now potentially bad. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to be safe about everything, and I'm going to move my stop loss to there. If we get a sudden, never mind, we're out and we've taken some profits potentially, but we'll just leave it. We'll leave it to run. I'm tempted to move my take profit to there, 876699. I feel like that's probably wise. Let's do that. Or do we leave it? Or do we leave it? I'm going to leave it for now. Leave it for now, see what happens. So it's great, it's good for the currency apparently. That's definitely fucking like minus 13, like it's definitely greater than that. It's like 11 points bigger. I'm not really sure what I'm expecting. What happened to the rest of it? No big reaction, no big reaction. Not really. Everything's just casual. Cool. I mean, we did know by the colour, obviously, being a yellow. It's not hugely. You can see reds, high impact, orange medium, yellow, not so much. But still, potential of a little correction or something maybe in some of the trades. I don't know. From my analysis, you could see that it was still trying to just recoup from this morning. It's starting to push back up on a few things now anyway, so this one's probably going to go red and come down on us. Tempted just to take some money out. We've hit that pivot point. You can see the candle closed, didn't break it. Hit that pivot point, news comes out, bit of a correction. Tempted just to close out of it, to be honest. A small win, about half trade. Half trade safe for money management. And now we're out of it. It'll shoot to the moon. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, did we get any other interest for 11 o'clock? Just quickly. A little bit on euro. Oh, hello. Found that bounce, you see. Long wick correction. Some price action trades, you'd short. That's exactly what we was waiting for. I'm very tempted to just take that because euro is going down on everything. I'm very tempted to take that trade. I'm not sure whether it's just a premature knee-jerk or not, but it is kind of perfect for the way that it's operating on price action. Pushed up, didn't like it. Pushed back down. I might have to just wait and see how this closes. See if it's like engulfing. Where would you put your stop loss? Probably about there. 148907. Let's have a look. 148907. Roughly, yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. You could just catch the bottom again. Depends where this candle closes though as to how much of a trade it actually is. Bit busy there as well. No, I'm going to leave it. How are we doing on that? Correction? Yep. I'm cool with that for now. Yeah, I'll say. I think, yeah, look at that. Did right to close it. Yeah, I think I'm going to finish my stream now. I'll carry on trading obviously, but I've just got to finish the stream and then in my own time I can listen back through it. Just check that everything's going okay with it. Sound and everything and the 20 minutes of mute.